are Heather and Paul Christie.
And for over 12 years, we've worked with executives and entrepreneurs to accelerate change in every aspect of their business.
Because we are in the fastest paced business environment that anyone has ever seen before.
So join us for the Evolve to Win show.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Evolve to Win show. This is Heather Christie, and I'm flying solo today because I want to share with you the most powerful lesson that I've ever learned. And this lesson came to me from Bob Proctor, and it's all about the importance, the necessity of having a vision for your personal and professional life. Now, when I say having a vision for your professional life, I'm literally talking about having an image that is compelling for you in both areas. So I want you to think about right now as you look forward strategically, which I'm going to say is 3 years from now. Do you have clarity? Can you imagine yourself and see a vision of exactly where you want to be? And does that vision excite you? If it doesn't, you're missing a huge, huge opportunity to achieve everything that you want to have. So I want to share with you a concept called the stick person. This is something that I learned, oh my gosh, probably 10 years ago through one of my coaches named Bob Proctor. You may recognize his name if you've ever seen the movie The Secret. He was one of the teachers in that movie, and he became my personal coach about 10 years ago now. All right, so I want to start off with the concept of why the vision is critical, why it's necessary to have an image in your mind. And I'm going to go back to the 1930s where there was a man by the name of Dr. Thurman Fleet, and he was a practicing chiropractor back in, I think, San Antonio, Texas. And he was very much a fan of holistic medicine. And what that means is really treating each person as the full person that they are, mind, body, and spirit, versus just treating the physical body. So Dr. Fleet was really, really frustrated with Western medicine and the practices that we had adopted, which essentially was you have an illness and you treat the symptom versus looking to find and treat the cause. So he was frustrated that our Western doctors were primarily treating symptoms with medications versus treating the whole body, mind, and spirit. Okay, so here's what he started doing. In his practice, he started treating people as the full mind, body, spirit combination. And he started to see immediate improvement, and then he saw a plateau. And as he was trying to figure out why he was seeing this plateau, he recognized something so critical. He recognized that we human beings do not have an image in our brains for our mind, for this concept of mind, body, spirit. So we see the physical body and we know what that's all about and we relate to it very closely. But think about this. When I ask you to envision right now your mind, what image pops up for you? He found that people just didn't have an image for their mind. If anything, they would think of their brain, but their brain is more of their physical reality than it is really the mind. Okay, so here's what he did, and I'm going to use my flip chart here so you see my visual. So if you're listening to this on audio, this is definitely one of those episodes you want to catch on video. So you can either go to my YouTube channel by typing in Heather Christie or go to the Wooditch Network where you can find all of our Evolve to Win shows on that network. Okay, so Dr. Thurman Fleet recognized that human beings, all human beings, think in images. We all do. And so if you don't have an image for something, you are not going to be connecting with it. So he said, okay, I've got to give people an image for what this whole concept of mind, body, spirit means so that they can then make sense of it. So he drew this. He drew the stick person. And it's one of the images that I think I can actually draw okay because it doesn't require a whole lot of artistic talent. So there it is right there. Now, do not be fooled by the simplicity of this image because it's going to rock your world like it did mine if you really take this in, okay? Here's what I want you to think of. If this is the person and this is the body, we're all familiar with the physical body, and I want you to think of this part as the mind, and there are two parts to the mind that you have to be aware of. There's the conscious mind, also known as the thinking mind, and there's also then the subconscious mind. And this is what I want you to think of as the spirit part of the three-part mind, body, spirit. So imagine that there's a line just in the middle of your head, and the top of your head is your thinking mind, and the bottom of your head is your subconscious mind. Okay, so now you have an image, and when you can connect this concept to this image, you'll lock it in, you'll never forget it, and you'll realize how stinking powerful this subconscious mind is that you're working with that you maybe have never really tapped into fully before from a conscious level. Okay, so this conscious mind, as I said, is the thinking mind. So it has the ability to think and create thoughts, right? This is the creative side of the mind, or the thinking side. Okay, now in the conscious mind, this is where, as human beings, we are different from all other species in the fact that we have the ability to choose our thoughts, okay? And this is a really important concept, and I'll come back to this in a little bit, but we have the ability to choose our thoughts. We have the ability to accept or reject anything that comes our way. So we take things in from our five senses, right? We have information coming in constantly into our conscious mind. And our conscious mind is almost like a filter. Think of this as like a filter where this information is coming in and getting into our subconscious mind if we let it, okay? But remember, we have the ability, the full ability, 100% control of whether we accept or reject the information that we're bringing in through our five senses. Here's one of the biggest challenges. Most people don't really understand this, and so they're not using that ability to accept or reject to benefit them, okay? So I want you to think about that. Everything is coming in through the five senses. We can accept or reject with our conscious mind or our thinking mind before it makes it into our subconscious mind. When the information makes it into our subconscious mind, the subconscious mind must accept, and it cannot reject anything that's given to it. And this is where our habits live as well. So the subconscious mind is where habits live. So what is a habit? A habit is a thought that is thought enough times, repeated, where it's now ingrained in the subconscious mind. So I want you to think about it like this. When you first learned to drive, you were very conscious in your efforts, right? You took driver's ed class, you learned to have your hands at 10 and 2, and you learned to pay attention and, do the head check when you're turning into different lanes, using your turn signal, doing all of these things that took a lot of conscious level thought. Now, if you're like me at the stage I am now, I don't actually really need that much conscious level thought to drive anymore, especially now that we have GPS. I plug my destination into my phone, I let it ride, and I just go. And a lot of times it's subconscious. I'm not even focused on where I'm making turns. Like I couldn't even repeat it a second time. You know that you drive subconsciously if this has ever happened to you. You pull into your space at work and you go, oh my God, how did I get here? So if that's ever happened to you, what's happening is you have driven so many times, and especially when you take the same route over and over and over, it doesn't take conscious thought. So you're actually driving from your subconscious mind. Now, statistics show that we spend about 95% of our time in any given day in this subconscious mind. Okay, that's where our habits are formed. So when you go to work every day, guess what? You're not actually thinking. You're not actually using this mind. You're just going through the routine and you're doing the things that you know to do, right? And you do them day in and day out and you're really good at them. It doesn't take a lot of thought. So let's go back to the thinking mind again for a minute. I want you to think about this subconscious mind as a fertile field, right? So whatever you're planting, it will grow for you. Whatever seeds you give that fertile field, it will grow. So the information that you pass from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind is the information that you're planting and that will grow. And the question is, what is the information that you're passing along? So this is the other important part. The subconscious mind thinks in images. So whatever you're passing along from your conscious mind into your subconscious mind, whatever image you're conjuring up, that's what your subconscious mind is going to be growing for you, okay? So you think about this. Let's say, for example, every night right before you go to sleep, you watch the evening news. I want you to think about what's happening as you're watching the evening news. You're planting and planting and planting those seeds into your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is servile. Remember, it must accept, it cannot reject. And by the way, when you use repetition, can you see that still? And emotion. That is the rocket fuel to access your subconscious mind. So you're watching the evening news, which is what, in large part, really happy and positive, right? Makes you feel really good, or maybe not so much. It's filled with negativity. It's most of it makes you fearful. So if right before you go to sleep at night, the very last thing that you're planting into your subconscious mind is some kind of negativity, and you add your emotion to it. So let's say you get fired up about whatever is going on in the news. That is the surefire access into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind plays a part. It needs to send you into a vibration that is consistent with your thinking. So that's the role of a subconscious mind, is it sends you into a vibration that matches your thinking. So in the event that you're taking something in that makes you worried, that makes you fearful, that makes you angry or frustrated, you have just now put your body in a vibration, because we're all energy, right? You've put your body in a vibration called fear or anger or worry or frustration. And that is what has your body take action. So you begin acting in certain ways based on what you're feeding your subconscious mind. Okay? Now, what you're feeding your subconscious mind is so critical. Okay? So we're talking about why having a vision for your life that, by the way, is chosen by you and is positive and is powerful. Having this vision for your life is absolutely critical, because here's what happens. If you're not guarding your conscious thought with everything you have, it means you're allowing things to seep in that aren't serving you, things that will make you sad or angry or fearful or worried or frustrated. And if you take those things in and you allow them past the guard gate, okay, think about that as the guard gate. If you allow those negative things past this guard gate and into the subconscious mind, and by the way, repetition and emotion is rocket fuel to get them into your subconscious mind, here's what happens. Your subconscious mind is all powerful. So think about this. When's the last time you had to consciously think in order to beat your heart? The answer is, thank God we don't have to think about that, or it just would, like, I'd forget constantly, right? So the subconscious mind is so powerful. Here's how it works. The conscious mind operates at 4,000 bits of information per second. Okay, the conscious mind, our thinking mind, 4,000 bits of information per second. And I want to compare that with the subconscious mind. Do I have that right? 4,000 bits of information per second? I think so. The subconscious, 200 billion bits of information per second. So these statistics, if I've gotten them right, come from the book The Answer by John Assaraf. So if you want to really, really understand this topic, he's got a book called The Answer that goes into detail on this conversation and helps you understand from a physiological perspective what's going on with your brain and why when you hold an image, it seeps into your world and it has you go. So whatever that image is, if you're not careful and you're not guarding it and you're allowing negativity into your world and it makes you react, oh my gosh, guess what you've done to yourself? Now you know why you wake up some mornings and you just don't even feel like getting out of bed because it's just too difficult, because you put yourself in a vibration that has you take action that matches your thinking. So I want you to really be thinking about what you're planting and start to get way more conscious about what you're planting. Why does it matter to conjure up the image? As I mentioned before, human beings think in images. And if we don't have an image for something, we don't really fully understand it, which is why I'm showing you this image that Dr. Thurman Fleet created, right? The conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the body. We are full beings. And if we're not accessing every single part of this being, then we're missing a huge opportunity. So if you think of the distinction between how much speed we can process consciously versus subconsciously, subconsciously we have so much going on, right? You don't have to think to access that subconscious. It just works. Think about with everything you do, the way that your body is working physiologically, the way that you can do some things. Have you ever been in a situation where it was an emergency reaction? You may have heard that not too long ago, Paul and I had an accident on I-75 where something flew up and hit our windshield. All of a sudden, everything goes in slow motion. So if you've ever experienced that, you know what I'm talking about. That's your subconscious mind taking over for you and taking action in a way that your conscious mind could have never acted as quickly, right? So that's your subconscious power. So you want to have something manifest in your world. The single most important thing you can possibly do is create that image for what you want. And remember, if you're focused on what you don't want, that's also an image. And the more that you put emotion into that, you're bringing it into your world. So anytime you're focused on worry or fear, the things that you don't want to have, and you're feeling the emotion on top of it, you are bringing more of that into your world because of this teaching, because of this pattern. So I want you to start really thinking about, what is it that I want? Now, that is the hardest question that you'll ever have to answer, is to get very specific on what do I want. Now, I suggested that strategic thinking, strategic planning is about 3 years out. Any longer than that, actually 3 years is even a long time right now with how fast things are shifting. But if you don't know with clarity what you want 3 years out and you can't create it like an image, there's a good chance you're not going to get there. You're just going to get wherever you go. So create the thought first, turn it into an image, like write it down with such specificity that you're painting a picture. And by the way, if you're in a leadership position in an organization, whether you're a business owner or a senior leader, the better you are at describing that vision in a way that other people can create and hold in their minds as an image, now you've put this into motion. So you're planting that image for people into their subconscious mind. Remember, the access to the subconscious mind is repetition and emotion. So when you can conjure the emotion up and you repeat it again and again and again, especially if you are in a change environment and you're looking to make changes in your organization, you've got to use this formula of the repetition and the emotion. So you take the image, you repeat, you're putting it into the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind, remember, the role of the subconscious mind is to put you into a vibration that matches the thinking, and it's that vibration that turns into action. This is exactly why you can have two salespeople in the same organization using the exact same system and having completely different results. One person thinks, I can't do it, I don't like it, this doesn't make sense. The other person believes in the system and sees the outcome, so they have a different energy and vibration that shows up as they're going through that same script. Does that make sense? So, to wrap up here, the single most important thing that you can do when it comes to goal setting, when it comes to planning for your personal and your professional life, is to come up with your goal and create it in the form of an image. When you create it in the form of an image and you look at it constantly and with emotion, and you repeat that day in, day out, that's going to sink into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is so powerful. It operates like in ways that we still don't even understand today. Even the neuroscientists are still learning things every single day about how powerful our subconscious mind is. So trust me, if I ever want to hand anything over, I would like to create it as a habit, which I know lives here, because then I don't have to think about it anymore. And by the way, this is also why it's so difficult to break a bad habit. You can't just break a bad habit without getting a new habit, a good habit in its place. And that's why you have to repeat that new habit over and over and over consistently enough every single day, minimum of 30 days. Because what you're doing is you're rewiring and retraining that subconscious mind. So as one more quick review, the conscious mind, it can accept or reject anything. You have choice in your conscious mind whether to accept or reject anything. Once you accept something, it heads into the subconscious mind, which is servile. So it cannot reject. It must accept whatever you give it. Most people are unaware of what they're sending to their subconscious mind. Today, I want you to be fully aware and just ask yourself the all-important question, is that thought serving me? That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed The Stick Person Figure by Dr. Thurman Fleet. It is so simple and yet so filled with information. Single best lesson I've ever learned, and I give that credit to Bob Proctor. Thanks for joining in, everybody. Again, if you're listening to this on audio instead of video, please go onto our YouTube channel and check it out so that you can actually see the image that I just talked about. Have a great day.